And you are now behind enemy lines, baby. Better late than never, but here we are. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? Gene Berardelli, Ross Galloway here. Or should I say Ross Galloway, the sore loser, maybe?
Sorry we're late, folks. I think Gene was rigging tonight's election like he did last week's, but we'll see.
Well, listen, I'm sure you're talking about last Friday's Buffoonology 101, which I hope everybody checked out, by the way. It was a fun show to do. The votes are being counted as we speak, and we're getting ready to tape this coming week's show pretty soon, probably right after this, actually. But that's a story for another time, and I'm going to be roasting Galloway for saying that he's almost always right and hardly ever loses. Well, guess what, brother? Week one, I think people are going to see you singing a different tune. But hey, whatever.
Well, an old saying in Brooklyn, I think it might have came from Russia originally. It's not who casts the votes, Gene. It's who counts the votes.
Yeah, that's Boss Tweed, by the way. That's Boss Tweed. Exactly right. Well, I mean, I don't count the votes. X counts the votes. The website, buffoonoftheweek.com, counts the votes. And YouTube on our community tab counts the votes. I don't count them.
YouTube won't even let me leave a comment. YouTube doesn't even let me leave comments on our own page and accounting our votes.
That's because you like to use a lot of banned words and stuff, man. Come on. Be intellectually honest here. Be intellectually honest here.
All right. Let's go.
I know it's hard to do. It's hard for me to do, too. So I totally understand. People are coming into the chat. I saw Eli a little while ago from South Carolina saying hi. Good to see you, pal. Thanks for tuning in early. I'm sure more people will be rolling in as the show goes on. You doing anything for Easter, by the way, pal? Or are you just hanging out in the house? Are the nephews coming down?
Meeting up with some people. Doing a few things. Nothing big.
Any Easter egg hunting with the nephews?
I don't do the Easter egg hunting. I don't understand it. I don't know where it came from. I don't do that.
Oh, it's a fun thing to do. I mean, when my nephew was little, and we had first moved into the house out here on Long Island, I did this whole Easter egg hunt. I organized it for him where it wasn't so much a hunt, but more of a scavenger hunt. Like he would go from place to place. He had a map we made up, and he'd go from different room to outside to inside to in cars, and ultimately he ended up finding all his stuff. So
I must
can't do that anymore because he's too old.
I must have missed that chapter in the New Testament.
Well,
where the disciples hunted for Easter eggs.
Hey, listen, it's more tradition than anything else, but whatever. Listen, we're in the middle of Holy Week as well. Hope everybody that's celebrating, whether you're celebrating Easter season, Holy Week, Passover, hope that you and your family are enjoying your holiday.
Yeah, happy Passover to my Jewish brethren.
Yeah, indeed. See, this is what I mean. That it's your people that are going to be crying foul this week. But in actuality,
Daisy,
you're going to see who actually won. And that's really it. Listen, if you remember from the video, one of the rules was vote early, vote often. But we'll be talking about that when we do Buffoonology 101. And you can leave all the comments you want, Miss Daisy. All right? Traitor. But anyway, let's get to this show. What do you say? Guys, we're going to be talking about a couple of different topics. As you see in the title of the video, the left has been eating their own a lot this week. So we're going to be talking about that. And then we'll probably talk a little bit about the Trump administration and this Supreme Court ruling and what's going on with this El Salvadorian alleged nice guy, but supposed terrorist at the same time.
Father. He's a father from Maryland, Gene.
Yes, Maryland man, who's almost getting as much of a bad rap as Florida man lately. But be that as it may, let's get into the show a little bit here. So the left is eating themselves, pal. And I found a couple of examples of this. Let's go through them one by one. So the first one I'm going to show you is from a Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho. I mean, because when you think of Idaho, you think Bernie Sanders, right? This is part of Bernie and AOC's, I guess, crusade to try to expand the base in red states to see if they can sort of stem the tide of what Donald Trump created in 2024. So at this rally in, I believe it's called Nampa, Idaho. Never heard of the place. I'm sure it's very nice. Bernie was on stage when some pro-Palestinian, I guess, disruptors, you want to call them, because I don't know if they're protesting, because everybody's supposed to be on the same side on that, right? Especially when it comes to Bernie. They showed up and they had a banner and created some disruption to the point where Bernie Sanders didn't know what to do with himself. Take a look at this.
A little bit of what's going on in America that you're not going to see on corporate media and you're not going to hear on the halls of Congress. And that right now in America, we have two Americas. We have on top one America in which the wealthiest people, the top 1%, have never, ever had it so good.
So right now, nobody notices the banner on top of the American flag. That's not Bernie's banner, pal. That's what some protesters who were on like a stage above and behind. That's what they put up.
Yeah. And by the way, Gene, Bernie Sanders, for all you guys listening, is in the top 1%. But we keep going.
Oh, from his book sales. He's got mansions all over the place, right?
Yes, he does.
But we're steaming towards oligarchy. More on that later. But apparently the protesters with the banner, they weren't getting enough attention, so they actually kind of move it around a little bit. Watch what happens here.
He thinks he's doing good.
Oh, yeah. Well, now he knows. What do I do? What do I do?
Okay, in America today, in America today, we have more income. In America today.
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes closed. That's what he's trying to do here. He doesn't know what to do. The crowd has basically taken over his rally because they're responding to this. A lot of those cheers, I mean, you see some people not cheering, but a chant starts breaking out in support of those protesters, pal.
My question to you, Gene, and this is a genuine question. What does Free Palestine mean? What does it mean?
I'm not one of the protesters, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, you're in the know. You watch the news. You do this a lot. Like, what does it mean? Like, they want to be their own. Like, I never understood why the United States and Israel and other countries in Europe, they have to get involved with like a two-state solution. Why don't they just declare themselves a state? They had the Palestinian Liberation Authority, the PLO or whatever the hell they call themselves. So what's the problem? Like, who do they need to be freed from? Israel's only there now in Gaza because of October 7th. Prior to that, they were not being occupied. So what's stopping them? What is the Free Palestine movement? What is the pro-Palestinian position? This is a genuine question. Like, anybody else listening in the chat want to tell me, like, what is the position? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think the closest thing I've ever heard to a position is that from the river to the sea will be Palestine, and it shall be free. And that means the total takeover of Israel.
Yeah, so Free Palestine means
destroy Israel.
No Israel. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't mean like a two-state solution or whatever Gaza and the West Bank is, or their own little independent countries. That's not what they mean, right? Okay. I just want to make sure like I'm tracking it.
Yeah, I think you're on track with that, pal. But Bernie's confusion on the stage continues here.
Today.
Oh, wait, you know what? Stop that. We got one, pal. We got one. Welcome, Kremlin agent number 47. Holy crap. Lobotomized. Oh, he's trying to say lobotomized. Okay. Trump fart sniffers. MAGA is cooked. Well, Kremlin agent number 47, if that is indeed your real name here, I'd love for you to tell us what they mean by Free Palestine. We're all ears. We want to listen. If you got something to say, put it into the chat. We'll be happy to interact with you. We love trolls. We love interacting with trolls. Trolls are some of the dumbest shits out there. and we love making you look dumb. So please, by all means, get it out into the open. Let us know what you think.
And by the way, Gene,
go ahead.
Before you move on, Kremlin
No.
agent,
You get your moment to sniff the farts as well here, pal.
Kremlin Agent 47. Why don't you pull the tampon out and go fight in Ukraine? If you're so anti-Russian, right? You're trying to hint with your little stupid screen name there that Donald Trump is an agent of Putin because you're. I was going to use the R word, but we're too early in the show. You're not smart, okay? There's something wrong with you. Your growth is stunted. So go pick up a rifle, fly over to Ukraine, and defend them, dude.
I mean, seems pretty simple, right?
Because he's a pussy. Go ahead, next.
All right, we've had fun with the troll. Let's go on. Bernie don't know what to do with himself. I love it.
In America today,
that's now 3 times, right? Bernie, get control of your people. What's going on here? And there are the chants, pal. You hear him right now. There are the chants. Free Palestine in his own crowd. It's been taken over by those disruptors in the backstage balcony over there.
By the way, Gene, where did Bernie Sanders go on his honeymoon? Do you remember?
So I know de Blasio went to Cuba. Did he go to Cuba as well?
He went to Moscow.
Oh, he went to Moscow.
Yeah,
I
Kremlin Agent 47. I don't know if he knew that, but okay, we'll let that one go too.
Sure, I mean, because why not? But seriously, Kremlin Agent 47, if you're out there, tell us what Free Palestine means to you. We're happy to listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me move on to, I know that this is a sensitive issue, something I am leading the effort in Congress. But I do want to say, hold it. What we have also got to focus on is the crisis facing not only the people in Gaza, but the crisis facing the working class of this country.
Dare I say that was America First from Bernie Sanders? Just saying. Before we deal with the issues over there, we must deal with the issues over here. And I must ask you once again to donate to my campaign because I don't have enough money to do the work that we all need to do.
Bernie Sanders is a self-hating Jew, and he couldn't even muster a response to this. Remember what we talked about a couple of weeks in a row now, Gene? There is no leader of the Democratic Party. It's actually impossible, right? Because how do you get to the left of Bernie Sanders? Is it possible? No. So, but those people who put up that banner may actually be further to the left than Bernie Sanders. So there's no way to get a coalition on the left side of the political spectrum in this country anymore. It's just not possible for them because the middle has actually moved to the right because they went so far left. It's just impossible. There is no helping them anymore.
There's no helping them anymore on certainly those policy things, but Bernie and AOC are on this crusade, I said before, touring the nation, mostly red states, to engage in conversation. They're calling it the Fight Oligarchy Tour, I guess, or something like that. You saw the podium. It said that. Something that Bernie Sanders likes to talk about. Well, people on X, like Mays and Elon Musk, they've been posting this video of Bernie talking about oligarchy and how we're rapidly heading towards oligarchy. And in fact, we've been moving so rapidly towards oligarchy that Bernie's been talking about this since the 90s. Check this out. I'm just going to let this play out here.
Of ours is moving very rapidly in the direction of oligarchy. The United States of America today is increasingly becoming an oligarchy. More
Oh, you know what? I gotta let it catch up a little bit here, and let's do it again. Here we go.
and more moving toward an oligarchy. We are moving in the direction of oligarchy. We will move even more rapidly in the direction of an oligarchy. This great country is evolving into an oligarchic society. It is called oligarchy, and that is the system we are rapidly moving toward. This is a budget that moves our country rapidly into the direction of oligarchy. A handful of billionaires are moving this entire planet toward an oligarchic society.
Start off with the bad news, which is pretty bad, and that is that under Donald Trump, this country is hurtling rapidly toward oligarchy.
So I just want to wish everybody a happy 32nd anniversary of rapidly moving towards oligarchy. It's been delayed more often than a train at Penn Station, and if socialists don't know how to do one thing, it's keeping the trains on time, because it's always under construction, always delayed. 32 years of this nonsense, my friend. What do you think?
First of all, Bernie used to always say millionaires and billionaires, and then he took off the millionaires once he became a millionaire, right? Now he only says billionaires. The next thing, it would have been real nice if under each one of those years you had his net worth so we could track how much he's made over the last 32 years. And lastly, Gene, how in the hell has Bernie Sanders been old since 1993? I don't get it. He was old 32 years ago.
you know, those of us who gray prematurely, like I've been since my 20s, we just have that air of maturity about us. For all we know, Bernie Sanders, I mean, how old is he now? He's like 80. Let's say he's 80 now. I don't know how old he is. But, 32 years ago, that was him at 58. I mean, the aging process stopped at 58. I'll give him that, because he's always looked like he's been 80 since the 90s.
The only thing I'll give him, Gene, is that he's still, even in 1993, he was more coherent than Biden is today. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'll give him that as well. Before we move on to the next topic of this left eating themselves, just want to remind everybody to please hit that thumbs up button wherever you are watching the show. Like it, share it, subscribe to the channel wherever you're watching, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Rumble or X. Follow, like, share, all the stuff that you do on social media to help us out. So the second topic, or the second example, I should say, the second example of the left eating themselves is what happened in Pennsylvania with the attempted arson of the governor's house in Pennsylvania, where Josh Shapiro and his family were having Passover Seder. Have you heard about this, pal?
Yeah. What are you talking about, left eating left? Wasn't that a white supremacist, Elon Musk, Nazi saluting person? I mean, it had to be, right?
One would think so. But as it turns out, according to the news and according to law enforcement officials, that was not the case. This is from a local Pennsylvania news station. I believe it's the ABC affiliate in Philadelphia.
Suspected arsonist who allegedly tried to attack Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro decided to firebomb the governor's mansion because of, quote, what he wants to do to the Palestinian people. That's according to a search warrant signed by Pennsylvania State Police.
First of all, look at this winner on your screen right now. Second of all, it's not right-wing media saying this. It's the law enforcement agencies who swore out the warrant for this cretin's arrest. So you wonder why certain stories don't get reported on more, like this whole arson of a governor's house. It's nowhere in the news as it would be, say, if this was a radical, far fringe right person who would have done this, right?
But I feel like we're making progress. I'm learning tonight, Gene. So I'm learning that the Free Palestine position includes burning down the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania's house. Okay, hold on. I'm going to write that down because I'm getting there. I'm getting closer to what that position actually is. Okay.
Okay. While you're pondering, let's continue on.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News 38-year-old Cody Balmer targeted Shapiro, quote, based on perceived injustices to the people of Palestine. The cleanup process continues today at the mansion in Harrisburg.
I mean, place was destroyed, and I'm glad that his family is safe, but this is how the far left airs their grievances, even towards their own fellow leftists and Democrats, I should say, and liberals.
And I'm sincerely happy that everyone's okay, but I assume that this individual will have no cash bail and be free until, because he's innocent until proven guilty, right? So he should be, just because he doesn't have money doesn't mean we should hold him until trial. I just hope that that's understood. I think I'm going to start being liberal on the show, Gene. I'd like to take the opposite position of sanity for the rest of the show.
It's nice to live in a different reality where it's all kumbaya and all that, but apparently it's not when this is happening to Democrats now. And apparently the label Democrat or liberal doesn't matter to the leftists who support Hamas and want to talk about free Palestine when they're just going after a Jewish Democrat now who's in office. But let's go on here.
Following the attack early Sunday morning, police say Balmer set fire to a dining area in the residence where Governor Josh Shapiro and his family had hosted a Passover Seder just hours earlier. Governor Shapiro addressed the attack during an appearance just minutes ago in Hershey.
Nothing he could do would deter me from doing my job as governor. Nothing he could do would deter me from proudly and openly practicing my faith.
Pennsylvania State Police announced today it is using a third party to conduct an independent security review. The probe will examine what led to the security breach and what charges need to be filed.
So is that a hate crime? Is he going to be charged with a hate crime?
No.
I wonder.
Well, maybe by the feds, possibly. Maybe.
Don't you think the Fed, yeah, I agree with this totally. The Fed should take over this case and charge him federally with a hate crime. Absolutely. Or whatever up charges they can do.
I mean, I agree with you, but let me just talk to the governor for a second. Josh.
Buddy, Al.
Bobby.
Bubble.
Your party hates you because you're not only white, but you're Jewish. I'll say it every week until the next presidential cycle. Josh Shapiro is not a serious contender. Why? Because the Democratic Party are racist anti-Semites. Period.
And look no further than the VP pick with Kamala Harris. Now, Josh Shapiro may have turned it down. I don't know what the rumors are on that. He may have turned it down thinking he has his own future as the head of a ticket. But I guarantee you that the orbit around Kamala Harris was saying, don't pick Josh Shapiro because it'll hurt you with the voters in Michigan that will vote against you. It turns out she lost Michigan anyway, but she may have lost it by even more if she would have picked Josh Shapiro.
Yeah.
The Rashida Tlaib wing of the party may not have been very happy with that.
In the Democratic hierarchy, man, a gay Midwestern governor beats a Jewish Northeastern governor. I'll just leave it there.
It's a world gone mad, isn't it, pal? It's a world gone mad.
That's why they picked, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, Timmy Boy.
Yeah,
they picked Tim.
Tampon Tim.
Your fellow Sergeant Major. I should point out.
Fake. He was fake. Come on, you know this.
By the way, did you see
over this?
Did you see that video where he was doing something in like the legislature in Minnesota and they invited some veterans group and they basically booed him before he even started talking?
I missed that, but that is great.
Well, I'll tell you what, because you missed it, I'm going to insert that clip right here in the post-production that we do and when we show this on replay. Yeah, it was something to see. But yeah, there's more and more of these examples of a rudderless, leaderless Democrat Party turning on each other. It's crazy to see, and we always knew that there was this loose coalition of different interests. I mean, we talk about big tents on the Republican side, but on the people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer probably didn't get enough credit for maintaining the coalition, at least legislatively, when it came to different votes and quote unquote resisting Trump and all that, basically herding the cats in the legislature. And now those same people who did that job are not being thanked or, not still considered part of the true leadership. They're being cast aside. People are saying, you're old, you're white, and you're no longer relevant in today's Democrat Party.
Yeah, but the one thing I'll push back on, Gene, is like someone like a Pelosi, right? The reason why everybody gives her a lot of credit, but I'm going to take some of that credit away from her. The reason why she was able to, hobble together a very loose coalition of a rogues gallery of Democrats is because she had power and money to give out, right? You notice she jumped ship. She doesn't even want to be in the leadership anymore because they were going to be in the minority, and she knew that. Chuck Schumer did not do a good job of keeping Democrats together. Why? Because he's in the minority. When you're in the minority, you have no money and power, and you can't you can't insert things into bills to placate to your far left base, right? You have no power. So keeping this rogues gallery together going forward is impossible for the Democrats going forward. They can't. There's nothing to give them, right? And they can't unify behind anything. So I do think they're in a bigger mess than the Republicans ever were, because the Republicans never depended on I'll throw my support behind a more conservative guy if he builds this bridge in my state. Like that was never really a thing for us, right? Because at the end of the day, ideology sort of was like what the lodestar of the Republican side of the aisle. The Democrats, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, with the Republicans, at least it was always the three-legged stool, right? National security, you got the sort of libertarian wing, and then also the conservative religious wing of the party. You always had that commonality of some beliefs and ideas intersecting with all of them. But if you lost one of those legs, the stool fell down. Democrats, I don't even know what to call it at this point. There's so many different factional interests, not to mention, hopefully, some still blue dog center-right elements that maybe can make some sense of the sanity. But the factionalization, the balkanization of the Democrat Party has really been a sight to see. And I think it's because there is an impatience with the old guard that would do the horse trading that you talked about, that would interact and try to compromise on different issues way back in time immemorial. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
And I'll say they're too far gone, right? Like I've said this in the past. The Republican Party today, majority pro-life, but we do have some pro-choice Republicans. Majority pro-Second Amendment, but we do have some Republicans who believe in some form of gun control. Republican Party, we do have fiscal conservatives, but we also have some big spending type conservatives, right? On the left side of the aisle, can you name a pro-life Democrat? Can you name a pro-Second Amendment Democrat, like a true one? Not one that claims to be, but still then supports all kinds of gun registries and everything else. Can you name a Democrat that is truly fiscally conservative? They don't exist. They went so far left and shrunk their own like true party that they had to reach out to like pro-transgender groups and groups that hate the Jews and like every fringe group you can imagine. The Democrats had to embrace because they shrank their tent, right? It's just insanity. Who can be the leader of that party, Gene? No one. Josh Shapiro can't get that together. You think he's going to get that band together, Gene? He's going to conduct that orchestra?
I mean, if you watched This Week in Dumbmocracy this week, if you ask Steve Bannon who would be the most, how do I put this? The most, the biggest threat, really, to unify the Democrat Party, it's a sports commentator. It's Stephen A. Smith. That's who he thinks would be the best one to rally behind.
You think Stephen A. Honestly, I like Stephen A. Smith somewhat because he's not afraid to go on Hannity and talk to Republicans. You think Stephen A. Smith wants men playing in women's sports? That's like a showstopper to them.
No, he's center left. And that's why, and you might see this in a column on Newsmax coming out soon. Stephen A. Smith has the potential to be Trump 2.0 coming from the left, I think.
Yeah, you can argue that, and I'd say it would make a lot of sense if they actually rallied behind a guy like that. I'm just saying it's not possible, right? Because a lot of his views are sort of mainstream America. Not going to happen. They will not line up behind him.
He's a left populist, certainly.
Yes.
But let's speak of new leadership. You were right in saying that Democrats let every freaky Lou and wackadoo in the House, right? They opened the door and said, come on in. And they even made some leadership, like this young buffoon, David Hogg. I'm sure you've heard of him. And, his platform has always been like gun control, but his new platform was to run to be a vice chair of the DNC. Now, we did a video on this earlier when the DNC had their leadership forum and their vote on this, and how there were issues with the vote because you had to have one non-binary and one this and one that and all that. But long story short, David Hogg is now a vice chair of the DNC. And what has he done with this leadership role since then? Well, two things of note. One, we talked about probably a couple of weeks ago on this show, which is that he has been using the DNC's donor rolls to send out blast emails for himself and his own organization, sort of feathering his nest. And now he is talking about something like a $20 million effort thus far to primary Democrats. Again, a vice chair of the DNC has an organization to primary incumbent Democrats. And we found this out from all places but TMZ. Check this out.
Party wanted a disruptor. They got him when they put David Hogg in as the vice chair of the DNC. And he is now rolling out a plan that some of those people who wanted him to have this role might be second-guessing it because it might cost them their jobs. David Hogg wants to make sure that the Democrats have new blood and that there aren't people who just stay in Congress as incumbents for far too long.
He wants to primary a lot of these incumbents, especially the older ones who have been in Congress for a long time.
And
I love how Harvey Levin just stop beating around the bush, man. He's primarying Democrats. The other guy was trying, I forget the other guy's name, but he's trying to be diplomatic about it and trying to say, well, he's trying to bring in new blood. And he's trying to do this and that. Nah, man, he's primarying incumbent Democrats because they're old. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Like a national party officer going after incumbents? Have you ever heard of this before?
Well, I mean, Mitch McConnell is probably guilty of something close, even though he wasn't a party official, but he did control a lot of money in the Senate.
Are you talking about Kari Lake?
Kari Lake and a bunch of other ones where he either did not support or actually supported opponents to more conservative candidates. But David Hogg, I'm assuming he filled the non-binary quota for the DNC. I will say this. I'd rather them do that, primary Democrats, than what they have been doing in the last few cycles, which I actually think the RNC should get into too, which is they were getting involved also in Republican primaries, right? They would support who they thought was the more pro-Trump candidate in local races and hoping they would lose. They did it in Pennsylvania for the governor's race, and they did it in a bunch of Senate races. So, I mean, if the DNC wants to spend money in their own primaries, I'd rather they do that than spend money in Republican primaries. So maybe he's got something here.
Well, it's also more support for our premise that Democratic Party is leaderless, rudderless, and everyone is out for themselves here and their own feathering of their nest. David Hogg going into DNC resources to raise money for his own initiatives, and then using that money, presumably, because where else would it have come from, to now go back at candidates that the DNC should be supporting. The whole function of a DNC for, the DCCC and every other organization out there is to support incumbents and candidates looking to turn over seats from Republicans. David Hogg is now, he's being a hog, really. He's taking all the money for himself, and he's trying to remake the party that he swore an oath to serve. Should he be removed from the DNC, in your opinion?
No, I disagree with you, Gene. I think he's doing a great job. I think that the Democrats are not far enough left, and I think that David Hogg should push them further left and solidify that party around a far left extremist agenda. I think that is what the party needs, and that's what will help them going forward in future elections.
And by them, we mean the RNC and Republicans. So, all right. So I think we've beaten this dead horse enough, and let's go to halftime. We're a little past halftime here on the show. I'm Gene. He's Ross. We are Behind Enemy Lines here on the Buffoon of the Week channel on YouTube and on Rumble, and also on my particular X account at G Berardelli. Hope you're enjoying the show with us wherever you are. Please like the stream, share the show with your friends, subscribe wherever you are, especially on YouTube and Rumble. We see some subscriptions already come in the first half of the show. Thank you guys so much for if you did that. We're having some fun conversations here. You can check us out on the channel. We have videos going up virtually daily now, but you can also check us out at buffoonoftheweek.com, where we will supplement all of these videos with some additional further information, do a little more of a deep dive there. And also, if you really like what we're doing, check out some merch. I'm wearing some old school merch right here from our podcasting days. But you can go to shop.buffoonoftheweek.com to check out some merch. We got t-shirts, we got glassware, we got stickers, whole bunch of stuff. And you can also pick up my book there in ebook form. It's a lot of good stuff we're doing right now. The website's getting more and more interactive. We're having polls. We take comments. It's a good time. And what are you laughing about over there?
Because you didn't take my suggestion. I wanted to put on that site, if you buy more than $50 worth of merch, Gene will come give you a massage. And for some reason, that never made it on there.
I don't have the travel budget. For that.
You have to be within a 50-mile radius of where you are at any given day, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
It would work, Gene. It would work.
There's nothing I won't do. So,
you grifting bastard, you. It would work.
Oh, well, I am a grifter, and that's why I want you to go to shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. So, basically, we planned out half a show. Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. Before I say that, I got to go back to the grift for a second here. Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, you can see me and Ross go at it. We're going to, well, not that way, but we're going to be fighting for Buffoon of the Week. There's a show called Buffoonology 101, where Ross and I each nominate a buffoon for your approval, for your perusal, and for your vote. And you get to pick the Buffoon of the Week based upon our nominees. It's a fun little show. I had a blast making it with you, pal. It was really fun.
I had a good time, and you set me up, though, Gene.
What?
You put it out there that I had this massive crowd of like bot warriors that were gonna tilt the vote in my favor, and lo and behold, you're blowing me out of the water with all your little bot followers.
Wait. I'm sorry. Are you saying that you are against campaigning? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that you are not up to the challenge? Are you saying that I'm doing something that's untoward here?
Hold on a minute. 1 second.
Well, where's he going? Where's he going now?
This is maybe a little inside baseball, but for those of you who remember this.
Oh, that's our award. We got an award.
Gene was once accused of doing this very same thing.
Oh, God. All right, so now we got to tell the story. All right, so now the show's going to go a little long because we got to tell the story about that. So I believe we are still now, Galloway, in our 10th year of being the reigning Best in Show podcast for the Blog Bash organization, which is, by the way, used to be run by that guy, Ali Alexander, who you
love
may
it.
in the news from J6 and all that. But we knew that he was a grifter and an asshole before J6. Back in 2015, we used to put on a party called Blog Bash, and there would be these awards that would be given out. And we campaigned for the award. He wouldn't give us a list of people who were part of the organization that were entitled to vote. There was no way to really track any of that. So we went on Twitter and we just hashtag Blog Bash, baby, and just put it out there for everyone. And people got mad because we were campaigning. And it turned out we won that award. I was pissed off because because the guy tried to endorse our opponent, even though he was the head of the organization and impartial. So I didn't even go to the event. Ross went there 3 sheets to the wind and found out we won by 2 votes, which was basically me and Ross. So,
oh my God. And guess who got the blame for quote unquote cheating?
Well, me. I get the blame for everything. I get the blame for everything. But the coda to that story, the end of that story is that we used to throw a little party ourselves during CPAC. And the night after Ross came back with that award, a certain Mr. Ali came to our party to then take people out of the party because they didn't want him there. Do you remember that?
For the record, I'm a fan of Ali, so I'm not going to talk bad about the man. I like him.
For the record, he can kiss my ass. And I'm proud to say we are still 10 years going because they haven't done a Blog Bash again. The reigning, defending, and undisputed Best in Show podcast.
I can't believe that was a decade ago. That's unreal.
We're old men, pal. So like I was saying, we got totally off track, and I love it. So we basically planned half a show, and I was like, what the hell else are we going to be talking about here? So I thought we would revisit the moment earlier this week where CNN's Caitlin Collins was in the Oval Office with the pool of reporters, with the president of El Salvador, I believe. I'm going to screw up his name. Nayib Bukele, I think his name is.
Close enough. We'll give it to you.
And started asking about the Salvadorian who was deported supposedly by accident, saying that he wasn't a gang member. And the Supreme Court made a ruling that the U.S. had to facilitate the return of this illegal who was said to be part of MS-13 because there was some due process issues with how he was deported. And at this press conference, I'm sure many of you know already, the president of El Salvador said, I'm not returning him. So it seems like there's nothing to facilitate here if El Salvador is not going to be returning this gentleman. So let's revisit the moment that Caitlin Collins was in the Oval Office trying to push an agenda on talking about this one illegal reputed member of MS-13, and listen to all the discussion here by the Trump administration and by the president of El Salvador.
Illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, 2 courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
All right, total aside here. Do you feel a little strange when Pam Bondi just calls President Trump president, not Mr. President?
I thought that was odd when I heard it a few times too. I'm chalking it up to her being a little nervous, right? Because it almost sounds like North Korean-ish, but it's fine. We got to let that go.
Okay, I thought it was just me, and I'll try to let it go. But Mr. President, I mean, President was his father. No, anyway, back to it.
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant. because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's
You
why
gotta
nobody's
love 'em.
watching them. But would you answer that question? Also?
Nobody's watching.
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I guess.
So I just want to pause it here for a second because Stephen Miller makes a very strong point that I think is lost on everyone here. Did you hear Stephen Miller say that there was a reversal of the order 9-0? What he's talking about is sort of a little sleight of hand that I think the court did. The court modified the order of the D.C. appellate that Judge Boasberg because that order said facilitate and effectuate. Facilitate and effectuate means arrange for and actually carry out the retrieval of a foreign citizen back to the United States. The Supreme Court changed it to facilitate only, which is an important point because now all the president has to do to fulfill the order of the Supreme Court is to go to the president of El Salvador and say, hey, Mr. President, we've been ordered to assist in the return of this one particular of your citizens who you're holding in jail because you consider him a domestic terrorist. Will you return him to us? And if you will, we'll arrange for the transport. And as we all know, President Bukele said, nah, we're not doing that. So while everyone is hemming and hawing that, the White House and the administration should be held in contempt, I think people need to read the order of the Supreme Court a little closer than that in order to understand what exactly they were supposed to do. Essentially, in this meeting in front of the press, they tried to facilitate the return of the Salvadorian national. But the president of El Salvador said no. That really should be the end of it.
Yeah, and I mean, Gene, at the end of the day, if a district court finds that the executive branch is in contempt of a district court, so what? What are you going to do? Are you going to send the district court SWAT team into the White House to go, cuff up the president? What are they going to do, Gene? They can't do anything, right? The only thing that can happen is an impeachment again. And God forbid if the Democrats ever get control of the House, they will impeach Donald Trump again. Stephen Miller is a national treasure, okay? He's able to explain things in a way that the average American and, dare I say, even lawyers can understand, okay?
Why am I catching strays? What the hell?
Well, because, I mean, there's a lot of legal analysts on a lot of the far left networks that don't seem to get what Stephen Miller just articulated there. And J.D. Vance, by the way, did an excellent job on X talking about due process and what due process, I know he speaks in this in a little bit, but what due process does an MS-13 foreign terrorist citizen of El Salvador deserve in this country when resources are limited, time is limited, He's in another country right now. What due process rights should we afford these people, right? And let me just rewind for 1 second, Gene. The original order of the judge that said to not deport this guy, even though he had a deportation order, said not to deport him to El Salvador. Now, this was prior to Donald Trump declaring MS-13 a terrorist organization. And why did that judge say not to deport this person back to El Salvador? Because he was an MS-13 gang member and he may be killed by rival gangs in his home country. Since when is that a legitimate reason to not send someone back to whence they came, Gene? If you break into someone's house, I'm not a lawyer. If I break into your house and I pull a gun and then you pull a gun and then I shoot you in your house while I'm breaking in, can I claim self-defense when we both had guns? Right? I had no legal right to be there. So the fact that a gang member from another country came here and he may get killed by gang members in his own country, even prior to Donald Trump declaring MS-13 terrorist organization, does not mean we can't send you back. And I would defy the courts and send them back and let the courts send a SWAT team to the White House. And guess what? They don't have none. So good luck.
Yeah, listen, I think Stephen Miller is a treasure as well. He really needs to learn how to speak directly to people. He beats around the bush way too much, right?
He does beat around the bush. He needs to be a little more direct, but other than that, he's on it.
Yeah, I mean, blunt as anything, tells it like it is. And I think that's why people like Caitlin Collins don't like it, because when you're blunt and direct this way, and maybe we can talk about, a little bit of the rhetorical style here. When you're blunt and direct and you speak plainly, it doesn't allow a lot of opportunity for an adversary or a colleague to build off of your point in the negative. When you speak efficiently the way that he does, there's no hook to get into in order to contradict or controvert. He's either plain right or he's plain wrong. And that's what Stephen Miller seems to be a master at. As we saw with, I think there was a clip we put on the show here with Breonna Keeler, where she was the opposite of that, and he just picked her apart. Can
I just say one more thing about what he's a master at, real quick?
Go ahead.
Donald, we've spoken about this numerous times. How Donald Trump takes the 90% side of a 90-10 issue or an 80% side of an 80-20 issue. A lot of that is coming from Stephen Miller, right? The Democrats in this case are forced. They've been forced into an odd position where they are defending the rights of an illegal immigrant, MS-13 gang member, which happens to be designated a foreign terrorist organization. They're defending this guy, the media and the Democratic Party. And that's thanks to Stephen Miller dropping hints into the ears of Donald Trump. Trust me when I tell you this.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that as well. It seems like he's surrounded himself with a lot better people this time around, and Stephen Miller having a broader role in the administration, it seems to be paying dividends. But for those of you who don't recall or can't remember what the president of El Salvador said in response to Caitlin Collins' question, here it is.
Suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
How
can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. We're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen.
He says no. Yeah. So it's kind of a case of there it is. Case closed.
Yeah, he's locked. He just to put a little fine point on that. Murder capital in the Western Hemisphere. Now they're the safest small country in the Western Hemisphere. Why? Because he's locking up MS-13 gang members in max security jails. Right? Like that's brilliant. The guy's great. He's not going to release him into Did you hear what the reporter said? Well, you could release him into El Salvador and he could basically find his way back to the United States. Why would he do that? Right? Only blue leftist maniacal cities do that in our country, where they release criminals back into the streets. A lot of them, which are illegal immigrants with ICE detainers on them. They release them into the streets, right? Why would they want other countries to do that? Because they're sick, Gene. They are sick individuals.
Speaking of which, let's talk about what happened today with this issue, because now Maryland Senator Van Hollen went to El Salvador because he's taken it upon himself to
Democrat,
see what's going on with this, basically usurping executive authority, going around diplomatic norms, and being the ultimate Karen. Ross, this might be the furthest anyone has ever traveled for a virtue signal ever in the history of the world. I didn't download the clip, so we're going to play it from X. This is a video taken earlier today as we're taping it with Senator Van Hollen in El Salvador speaking to the media there after speaking with the vice president of El Salvador, because the president's still here in America. And let's play this clip right here. You able to see it there, pal?
We got it.
All right, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it.
So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia.
So this is going to be fun because there's translators there. There has to be a pause in between every single sentence he says. So it takes a lot longer than it really should. But he spoke to the vice president, and he basically said, no, Mr. MS-13 is not here.
And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT.
Translation, you should have made an appointment, you dumb schmuck.
I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia.
So then Van Hollen went all Karen on him, saying, I want to see him now, thinking he's got some authority here.
He said he was not able to make that happen.
He said, no dice, son. You ain't bullying me. I'm vice
I
president.
asked, he said he need a little more time.
Yeah, like some common courtesy. Do you believe the arrogance and the audacity of this guy?
I do, Gene, because you left out his party. He's a senator from which state?
Maryland.
And what party?
Democrat.
Okay, just want to make sure. Because don't you find it odd, Gene, that Rachel Morin, who was killed by an illegal immigrant from Maryland, he didn't do anything like this for her, right? The Democratic Party is forced to take this position. This jackass went all the way to El Salvador to bring an MS-13 gang member back home. Back home to where? Maryland? He's a citizen of El Salvador. What is wrong with the Democratic Party, Gene? Like, my blood pressure is through the roof right now. This is astonishing.
Some would say he's already home, but let's continue on.
I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia.
So he tried to make an appointment.
He said he couldn't promise that either.
He said, nah, man.
So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia.
Better call your mama first.
So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family.
No, but seriously, who the fuck does he think he is? He's not an attorney representing this guy. He's an elected official from outside the country demanding different things to try and expecting these elected officials there to just knock over, bow down. Oh my God, there's an American here, and just do everything that he wants them to do. It's obscene.
I just want to let me just say something, Gene, because you mentioned he's not even an attorney. I find that laughable too, right? Because a lot of attorneys in this country right now, and you can look up these articles if you're listening to us or watching us, are complaining that they have lost access to their clients who are in that El Salvadorian prison. They're not Americans. The Constitution does not apply to illegal immigrants that are deported to other countries. They are not American citizens. They are citizens of El Salvador. They're under that judicial system and that legal system. I don't understand why attorneys think that like the world revolves around the American jurisprudence system. It doesn't, right? So fuck them too.
Well, let me just correct something. He is an attorney in America, but he's not an attorney in El Salvador.
Even if he's an attorney in America, even if he's an attorney and his client is locked up in an El Salvadorian prison, if that prisoner was legally deported from here and not an American citizen, then he has no right to contact that client. He's not sitting in Rikers Island where you get, due process and constitutional protections. The U.S. Constitution does not apply to El Salvador and their citizens, period.
In situations like this, there is a protocol to go through, and that is through the American Embassy in El Salvador. We have an ambassador there. His name is William Duncan. He's been there since 2023, i.e., the Biden administration. Why, oh why, didn't Senator Van Hollen go to this ambassador and say to him, can you facilitate a meeting? Can you do this? Can you do that? Instead, he pulled a stunt. He got on a plane and just flew over there. No appointment, no invitation, no nothing. And people out there supported this nonsense. Let's let him finish, and then we'll start wrapping things up.
He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen.
There you go.
So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone.
You should have done that first, you goddamn buffoon.
I asked him how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so that she can hear his voice?
It doesn't even work that way in America. This is crazy.
I let him know that the family has requested that.
Is this guy one of his constituents, Gene?
He said he was not sure whether he could make that happen.
He certainly thinks he is.
So we have an unjust situation here.
How, you know what? I'm done with this guy. How is this an unjust situation, pal? I'm trying to understand that. Explain that to me if you can.
It's impossible. The way you described it is perfect. It's a stunt. That's all the Democrats have. You can't justify this. No. Notice, by the way, the media never called this guy an illegal immigrant with a deportation order, MS-13 gang member, designated foreign terrorist. Never, right? Never. They call him a Maryland father. Okay? I don't care if an MS-13 illegal immigrant had an out-of-wedlock child and then married the mother when he was facing a criminal charge, which is actually what happened. Okay? Don't care, right? But the Democrats are so out of their fucking mind that they think this is good for TV. I don't understand what this guy is thinking.
If anything,
Maryland, wake the fuck up. Really.
It's embarrassing for them. Listen, America's woken up quite a bit. They're going to continue waking up.
No, America has. Maryland, wake up.
Well, I mean, in Maryland's defense, they did have to endure Governor Hogan as a Republican there. So he was kind of a poor representative of a Republican there.
I haven't heard Wes Moore say anything about this, right? Because he's trying to keep his head low because he wants to be a serious contender going forward. And he knows this is a loser.
Exactly right. All right. You know what, pal? We've been here a while. We started a little late. We're going to end a little late. Final thought time. You want me to flip for it? You want to go first? I can go first. I don't. Either way, doesn't matter to me.
I think you're up for first this week.
Okay. Well, I kind of teased my final thought earlier when we were talking about Stephen A. Smith, and that there's going to be an article coming out in Newsmax, well, an op-ed coming out in Newsmax, written by yours truly, talking about how there's this time period we have right now, just months after finishing a national election where people have already started to think about 2028 and they're jockeying for position. And Ross knows this as well as I do. There is a phrase in politics when it comes to candidates and choosing them. It's okay to fall in love until it's time to fall in line. And right now there's an infatuation with some, including Steve Bannon, saying that Stephen A. Smith should be considered a serious contender for the presidency of the United States. And honestly, I would love to see this. This would be wonderful if we were talking about what if things could happen. What if the sky turned red? What if there was money falling from the sky? What if Stephen A. Smith were to run for president? And honestly, I see similarities between him and Donald Trump. If we're being honest with ourselves, we can't ignore the parallels that we see here. For instance, both national celebrity figures who are political outsiders, and at least as they started off, both speak in populist tones, just from different sides of the aisle. Each was scoffed at by their own party gatekeepers when the idea of them running was floated. Both rail against the dysfunction of the political system and embrace their outsider status. That's what fueled Trump to the win in 2016. And both are impossible to control, presumably by traditional party machines. We saw Stephen A. Smith have a dust-up with James Carville, that old curmudgeon. And he seemed to handle himself well because he is what Donald Trump isn't, in a sense, and that is a truly polished speaker. He is able to formulate his arguments. He's able to deal with rhetorics. He's already rattled the cage of the political establishment. For me, that's a great thing. What he doesn't have, though, is Trump's decades of experience of running a business and therefore interacting in politics the way that he has over decades and dealing with different levels of government and having the savvy of the art of the deal. So if someone comes up to you and says, what if candidate A, B, C, or D, don't just dismiss it out of hand. Because for all we know, Stephen A. Smith a year from now may find that exploratory committee out there finding himself in a favorable position, and we could be looking at the spark of a cultural movement that brings the party of the Democrats back towards the center. Or at least I can just dream about that happening, because that's what we do this time of year. What if? And that's my final thought, pal.
Bring it on, Stephen A. My final thought's a quick one.
Wait, hey, before I say that, yes, Stephen A., I am in agreement with your Dallas Cowboys position. They suck. I am in total agreement with your support of the New York Knicks. I am definitely in agreement of your anti-LeBron James positions and pro-Michael Jordan. And that's good enough of a starter for me to start considering you. All right, now I'm done, pal. Sorry about that.
So mine is just a quick one, man. Those women that went to space recently, supposedly, Katy Perry and company.
Gail King, yeah.
Gail King, a bunch of like has-been nobodies that I didn't even know. But, it was like different colored women all wearing high heels and makeup, supposedly went to space. I'm going to say my view on this, man. The footage, Katy Perry looked fake, looked like a different Katy Perry than I remember. The footage itself of the rocket looked pretty fake to me. Even if any of that was real, they went for a ride. When they came back, they all got interviewed and they were upset that people said they went for a ride. None of them flew the fucking rocket. They strapped in, if they even were in a rocket, and went up for 11 minutes, came back down. And they came down talking about platitudes and all the training they went through. They didn't go through no fucking training. Stop it. They're not astronauts. What they should have said when they came down, instead of speaking about all these platitudes and nonsensical comments they made, was they should have just told the truth. Like, if this thing really happened, they should have said, man, I'm blessed to have been given this opportunity to go to a ride into space, and I'm very thankful for that. And it was a beautiful view and the whole thing. But the way they went about it, acting like they were like holier than thou and they accomplished this great feat, it truly was, in the word of our great former county chairman, pathetic.
Yep.
And that's my final thought.
Did you see Gail King lamenting how that she was so disappointed that there wasn't enough news coverage for her liking about what happened here?
Pathetic. Sad.
I agree.
Wouldn't you have been much more proud of them, Gene, if they were like, that was awesome. I'm so thankful we got a chance to do that. I wish everyone could do that. It would have been more genuine, right? I would have liked that better.
Well, do you notice that it also wasn't it wasn't an Elon Musk ride? It was that Blue Origin that's run by Bezos, right?
Yeah, and listen, man, I love me some Elon Musk, but I got to tell you the truth. The older I get and the more conspiratorial I get, space, it's fake and gay, and that's it.
Just wanted to say that on the stream, though, didn't you? Well, on that note, it's time to cut off our show here. We got some more work to do. Be sure, everybody, thanks for hanging out, whether you were in the chat, whether you were hanging out on Rumble, on X, wherever you're watching, thanks so much. Please remember, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, or don't, according to Galloway. Hit the thumbs up button, like the show, everybody. We really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us for an evening. But until next week, well, live at least, we're going to see you guys on Friday with Buffoonology 101. Tune in for that. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get a notification about that show. But until then, it's time for us to shut this sucker down. Anything before I hit the music here, pal?
Shut it down, Gene.
Shutting it down. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Gene and Ross behind enemy lines. We are out of here. Now play our motherfucking anthem.
Not allowed, not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth, don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause left leg blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. Thunder, arm in advance, march to the anthem, this is our chance. Defy every stare with a smirk and a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat cage. Whistles in the dark, strategies unfold, allies unseen, but bonds remain bold. Commitment to the cause in the heart of the storms, in the name of freedom we're breaking the norm. Cause we'll stay blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw. Cool in the chaos, but loud in this war. But loud in this war. Let's make blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw. Cool in the chaos, but loud in